I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume. So, boy, oh boy, will I be skipping around a bit as I move along now. We just recently finished reading all about Solomon and his reign as king. He has now recently died, and his son Rehoboam becomes king. And we pick this up now in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 12. Now, we will be reading this in two parts, so, shouldn't be too long of a video. Chapter 12. Rehoboam seeks to impose greater burdens upon the people. The 10 tribes revolt and turn to Jeroboam. Jeroboam turns to idolatry and worships false gods. Now, before I actually read this, I do want to just remind everybody that near the end of Solomon's life, there was Jeroboam. Now, he was a ruler, or he was a magistrate in Solomon's administration. He was set over the house of Ephraim. But Ahijah the prophet prophesied that Jeroboam would become king of the 10 tribes, and so Solomon sought to have him killed. And so Jeroboam flees into Egypt. You will also recall Solomon's splendor, the money he brought in both in trade and in taxes. Recall that this was not an easy task or an easy burden for Israel. Keep those things in mind as we read here. Chapter 12. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, Thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us, lighter, and we will serve thee. And he said unto them, Depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed. So why did they go to Shechem? Well, Shechem is more centrally located for all Israel. Jerusalem is in the tribe of Benjamin, which is in the southern half. I think only Judah is farther south than Benjamin. Shechem is in, I can't remember if Shechem's in Ephraim or Manasseh, but it's more northerly. It's kind of like just south of the Sea of Galilee. More centrally located, so Israel could gather there more easily. That's why they're doing this in Shechem. But note, they actually send for Jeroboam. They bring Jeroboam back because he was, as apparently, a good leader. The people liked him. And so they bring him back, and they give this message to Rehoboam. They just, reduce the taxes. Don't make us work as much. Remember, Solomon basically made slave labor of all those who are not of Israelite blood. So they're saying, reduce the taxes, reduce the work that we have to do, and we're good. You can be king. We will follow you. Just lower taxes. And he tells them, come back in 3 days. So here's our deliberation. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, How do ye advise that I may answer this people? And they spake unto him, saying, If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and wilt serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever. But he forsook the counsel of the old men which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him. And he said unto them, What counsel give ye, that we may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, Make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter? And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, Thus shalt thou speak unto this people, that spake unto thee, saying, Thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. And now, whereas my father did lade you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father hath chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. He goes to all the counselors that advised Solomon, his father, and he asks, okay, what do we do? And they said, look, do what they said. lighten the load, give them what they want, and you will be secure in your throne forever. You'll never have a problem. But Rehoboam didn't like that idea. So he goes to the young men, the men that he grew. These are his friends. These were the men that he was carousing around town with when he was a teenager. Right? That's who this is. That's who he's talking to. And what do they tell him? Israel must be lazy. You got to give them more work to do. Make it even worse for them. Oppress them more so that they can't revolt against you. That's what they're really saying. I don't think they're just saying, oh, let's squeeze as much as we can out of it. It's more, no, if you give them what they want, then you're never going to rule over them. You got to be harder on them. You got to really oppress them so that they have no opportunity to break away. Bad advice, as we will see. Now, when he says, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. So, the loins are the groin area, the waist. That's your loins. My little finger will be thicker than my father's loins. He's saying, not only am I going to increase it, I'm going to increase it by like 50 times. I'm going to make it so much worse. And then he says, my father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Now what does this mean? This is a reference to what would be called a scourge, I believe. And this is a type of whip that, rather than just being a leather cord, like most whips are, it's got like pieces of rock or metal tied or woven into the fabric, so that when you are whipped with it, it will dig deeper into the skin. It's a biting, stinging whip. Does true damage and leaves permanent scar. I mean, a regular whip can do damage. Don't get me wrong. You can do some good damage with it. But these scourges would do a whole lot more because of these shards of metal and rock and glass that would be woven into the bands to dig and slice into the flesh. So this isn't good advice. But anyways, let us continue. Verse 12. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, as the king had appointed, saying, come to me again the third day. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat. Now, I want to clarify this. It says it is cause was from the Lord. True, this cause was from the Lord. Not that he made Rehoboam do this. Rehoboam had his free will. Rehoboam could do whatever he wanted. But God purposely selected Rehoboam to be born in this time, in this situation, so that he would become king, God knowing Rehoboam well enough that he knew that Rehoboam would act this way when put in this situation. He knew that given this opportunity, Rehoboam would act this way, and so he put him here knowing what the outcome would be. Not that he forced the outcome, but that he knew, because he knew Rehoboam well enough, he knew how Rehoboam would act. Let us continue. Verse 16. So then all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them. The people answered the king, saying, what portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to thine own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. But as for the children of Israel, which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Israel stoned him with stones, that he died. Therefore King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot, to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day. And it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation, and made him king over all Israel. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only. Now, a couple of things. First, you might recall, back near the end of 2 Samuel, after David put down the rebellion of his son, when Israel came to bring David back into Jerusalem, the tribe of Judah kind of took center stage in that procession, and the rest of Israel got mad. And this sparked a second rebellion. The second rebellion was put down easily, but we see, even in the time of David, near the end of David's life, we see this division. Israel was never a fully united nation. The tribes were always divided, even before they had a king. There was divisions among the tribes. And even when they were united under David, in their golden age, united under David, they still had this division. And now we see it coming out. What have we to do with the house of David? To your tents, Israel. And they just left. Rehoboam, thinking he's still king, not really believing that the people are serious about this revolution, he sends his administrator to go and collect the taxes. He's sending a tax collector to people who just said, we're not going to talk to you anymore. We ain't got nothing to do with you. Leave us alone. So what do? They kill his tax collector. That's when Rehoboam realizes that this is serious, and he runs for his life, retreats back to Jerusalem. Now, it does say that only Judah stayed loyal to the house of David. But Jeroboam rules only over the 10 tribes. So where's the 12th? 10 plus 1 is only 11. Where's the 12th? The 12th would be the tribe of Simeon. Because, again, recall, Simeon was located entirely within the boundary of Judah. It was surrounded by Judah. So when the northern 10 tribes leave and they split off and become their own kingdom, Simeon can't go with them. Simeon is within the borders of Judah, and so he has to stay. It doesn't say that Simeon is loyal to the house of David, though. They just don't want to leave their ancestral land. And so Judah remains loyal to David, to the house of David. Simeon stays there because that's his land. The other 10 become their own kingdom. It doesn't say that Simeon was loyal, and I find that interesting. But we're going to leave that here. We will finish this in a future video. My next video will be in 2 Chronicles, where we will read again of this division. So see you in that one.